If a draft were like a bag of cookies, this is how I picture a snake draft, and the bag of cookies is the players. The snake draft is you get a cookie, you get a cookie, you get a cookie, you get a cookie, and then you get down to the end. You go, no, you have to wait. You had the best cookie. You get another cookie. You get a cookie. You see what I'm saying? You see how this goes. But an auction is like mom comes in with a bag of cookies, dumps them out on the floor in a pile, and then we just get to fight over them. And whoever gets what they get, that's what they get, as opposed to the balance and the handing it out. So I get that everybody wants to do snake because it's safe. Because it's safe, it's going to be safe and it's going to be fair. Your team's not going to be that much different than any other team because you're all going to have to wait your turn and you're going to have to get in line and you're going to have to get your player and we're going to wait and you're just going to pick from the list and that's how it goes. But with auction drafts, you really get to fight it out. And what I find is over the long term, over the course of the whole season, auctions get more owner buy-in. They just get more commitment because in the end, you fought for your team. You picked players that somewhere inside you really liked. You paid up for them. And as the course of the season is going on, your buy-in to win is just a little bit higher. This is the team that I put together. These are my favorite players. These are my hometown players. These are, three guys in the first round that I paid for and then just scrubs. So I really think that sliding over to the auction is the future. Auction is the future. I guess you got to be a real wild man nowadays to get in there and do an auction because you're going to have to pay for players or you're going to get pushed around. But at some point it's got to happen. Auctions are just more fun. And now that I do auctions, the snakes are just, I'll do them if that's how the league has to do it. I want all my leagues to switch to auction. I want everyone to pony up and put the effort in and be ready to play with the big boys. But if you want to play snake and you want to get your individual cookie and draft like that and talk about ADP forever, that's fine. Do it like that. But welcome back. Welcome back the old subscribers, the OGs. Welcome in the new subscribers. I love this. People keep coming. I think they're finding it. I appreciate the likes. You guys are hitting me up. I love the comments. I love the feedback. Today, we're going over closers. We're gonna drop the closers in, but I have a couple more points. How the best way I think to get into your Yahoo free auction, which you should do, because the app is so smooth, it's free. The auction's free. You can just check your team. It's going to be casual, and you can enjoy some more fantasy baseball this season. Add it into your other leagues. It'll complement your other leagues that you're already in. I like to look in the morning, pick a draft time, tell my family, tell the girlfriend I'm not going to be available from some certain time on a Saturday or Sunday, 3 to 6, 7 to 8, I don't know, a few hours. I'm not going to be available. Leave me alone. I'm doing a fantasy baseball auction. But open it up in the morning and you'll get to see there's a bunch of times and they'll fill as you get close. So it doesn't work as well. You can't just be like, "Oh, it's 9:30. I'm not doing anything. 9:30 p.m. I'm just going to jump in an auction." You probably got to look at it in the morning, pick your time slot. My second tip to that, after you pick your time slot, set your phone, set a little reminder in your phone so an alarm goes off, because the worst thing is you just got excited. I'm going to do a draft. I got 6 hours. You do something else. You're at the mall. You come. All of a sudden, your draft was at 6. It's 6:45. You go in. You've been auto drafting players, and you miss the wave on an auction. That's kind of frustrating. So that's my best way, I think, for you to get in. I had a comment. Someone asked, I want to again assert the value of having the one list and mixing in all the players together and sorting them out and making the tiers, because in my opinion, if you just say, all right, shortstops, rank them, and then second base, rank them, and you have all your ranks and you have your columns next to each other, you're in the heat of the battle and you haven't thought at all about comparing who's this starting pitcher versus this second baseman or this third baseman versus, and in the end, you should really be trying to get best player available regardless of position and fill in position afterwards. So you really want to spend some time looking at, okay, I need all these hitters go, and then these pitchers, and then it's time to get closer, and then it's time to get catcher. Because if the list is right next to itself, your third catcher is next to your third starting pitcher. That's never going to happen. Those guys aren't even relatively close. So we get the gradient, we get the spreadsheet. That's why in the preseason we've been working the spreadsheet the whole time. And I just find it interesting. CBS Sports, Fantasy Baseball Today, here they go with that nonsense again. They decide, they do a segue, we're just going to review the top 10 players, but they pick one of their ridiculous experts lists, and they're going through their top 10, a one list essentially, and they can really say to you that the number 6 player is Jose Altuve. Altuve with the 6th pick. No mention of Ronald Acuna, none whatsoever. They got down to Bryce at 10, and they hemmed and hawed whether he should really be there. But Altuve at 6? And because he had a fractured kneecap last season, and he's going to bounce back, and he might be, he's 30. No, he's not anymore. He's one of the smallest players in the league. It's going to be hard for small players to generate power. When you're small, your legs are also short. So in terms of speed, there's guys that are tall that are fast, and I prefer them to steal bases. So it just blew my mind that despite and the fractured knee, that's 100%. You don't think that some of that knee injury came from how he torques or what he was doing on the bases? And and Houston doesn't run. So whatever. CBS Sports, they just keep bringing that stuff. Let them go. I had a couple more points on the auction. The thing, if you can get a home league going to an auction, you can get everybody to show up to a draft. And the real magic when it's full ownership, 100% attendance of an auction, you can get some really true values. Somebody might nominate a player. You throw an injured player up in live ownership, and he's just going to sit there. A player might go for the $1. You nominate for $1 trying to be cute. You just wait, you got the player for $1. Here you go. Fill a spot on your team. Good job. So you can get the really true sleeper and really big fights for value, but most likely in the Yahoo free auction, some of these guys are not going to show up. I've never had one at full attendance. I'm trying to pick times when guys will typically get into the game, so that might not be like a work day, like a Wednesday at 2, something on the weekend where it seems like guys will attend, because the bots are gonna keep the floor of the cost of players up. They're gonna see, nobody bid $10, and a bot will just jump in, put into the value that Yahoo has built into the bot logic. And the bots seem to have they have a tendency, like I was up against a bot that it wanted all the players at $17. So it didn't bid at all, and didn't get in anything high, but when it got to 17, it bought every player, and you have to wait out the bot, and you have to just feed the bot garbage so that it keeps buying things. The other thing is the $1 player with the bot. If there's $1, there's just a little bit of value on that guy, like his average price is $5 or $6. The bot will come in and pay for that and take it. So we'll get into how the bots look. I'm going to see what Yahoo's doing for bot strategy this season. I don't like hearing that Bryce might go to San Fran. San Fran is not a good landing spot for Bryce. But either way, I think he's got the power to get off the fence. I'm not devaluing him yet, but it's just not a good sign. We're getting little rumors of that. I hope that doesn't become his landing spot. Shout out to the subscribers. Let's get into these closers. I'm going to kind of explain my thought process on this. So with the closers, I throw the metrics at them. So I want to know about their stuff. I want to know about hard stuff, which is velo. Then it's situational opportunity, because the team has to be in the position to get the save. So they're up runs. They're going to get wins. Teams that are likely to get a lot of wins next season are the closers that are going to be better. And really bad teams are going to get less opportunities. But we still have to balance that with who has the job, how good is the stuff. And I broke down the list. I've got some tiers here. We're just going to get right into it. Again, the time to take the closers, where I'm mixing them into the list, is after all the elite hitting is gone, all the elite pitching, or in kind of desperation. So I'm watching the closers. I'll be ticking them off through the draft, who's gone. And if it gets a little bit like, there's only 3 or 4 guys left that I can tolerate, or that was my bottom barrel guy, I might have to go over and pay for something. We could punt them all together, and we could get speculative, or we could wait for the waivers. That's okay. But I maybe just want a little bit of closer, because it can drive me crazy in season when I'm not getting any saves. And just a couple saves can win a week in a head-to-head. So let's get started. I'm going to give you the couple late guys that I think are solid. So this should be your last resort if you just let all the top stuff go. But if you really like closers, get in early. Get in 50 picks or 60 picks, or pay the $20, $22, $25 auction price. But for $22 or even $15, I'd rather have that be the difference of my first baseman being Aguilar and going up and getting Bellinger, and I'll let the closer go. I mean, $15 for a closer, I'm not sure. That's really only one category production with a little bit of ratios, but the innings aren't that high enough, so it's almost like a one category player. I'm not sure about that. Here's the list, top tier. Edwin Diaz. Diaz gets traded to the New York Mets. He's got the job. He's got filthy hard stuff. He's got complete command of it. The K to B percentage is sparkling. The Mets improved their offense a little bit. They're a pitching heavy team, so they're going to be in situations where they're in pitching battles. They're in the NL, so they won't have to face the DH. And Diaz has got that spot locked down. I was a year early on him 2 years ago before he put it all together, but he's completely filthy. He's young. The velo is up at 98. He's not wild. He's got wipeout stuff. You can't go wrong with Diaz. Get him again this season. And then I want to talk a little bit about the situation. So you got to know that Familia is lingering right behind him. If Diaz were to go down or if he were to sputter, Familia's closed before he could come in and get something. Or if Diaz goes too many days in a row, maybe Familia comes and gets a piece of that, gets some save action. Blake Trinan, he's the Oakland closer. Trinan's going to hold it down. He's got the complete package again. Control, hard stuff, velo, 98. Soria's behind him. Soria's old, washed up. He's not going to be a threat to get Trinan out of that closer role. Oakland continues to be productive. They continue to get it done with Billy Beanball, so you can trust in Trinan to, again, be a elite option in saves. You know, you're looking for 30 or 40. You'd like him to go the whole season. But again, that risk is just in the way closers have to do their job with the warm-up and the multiple starts and 3 days in a row. There's always some volatility, but Trinan looks safe. I drop down to a tier, and again, this is kind of opportunity again. I'll point out the guys that have a little extra stuff or maybe have the job locked down, but I think you got to look at Aroldis Chapman. He's thrown the most 100-mile-an-hour pitches in the MLB. He's on the list like all by himself with 50 of them. The velo has ticked down just a tick. He's sitting probably 98.5, 99, so he's not the 100-mile-an-hour burner he used to be. He did run into some injuries last season, but the Yankees are going to get wins, and Chapman is the heir apparent to Mariano Rivera, so they like him. I think he's good there. You got to know that there's a couple other options. You got Betances and you got Britton, both at the Yankees, so they can come and fill in if anything happens to Chapman. Be aware of that. And Betances, because he's so filthy, might have standalone value for just ratios and Ks when he's getting holds or the occasional spot start getting the save. I go to the Boston closer situation. It's hard for me to imagine that they go with these two guys. It's between Brazier and Barnes. Brazier's got more strikeout stuff, but he's a little walky. Walky can be trouble in that last inning when you walk a couple guys. Guys on first, second. Now you give up a blooper. Runs are coming in. You blew the save. You know, you don't want too much walks, but you do need strikeout stuff because you got to come in. You got to strike out the side. That's the goal. But whoever it is in Boston, whether it's Brazier or Barnes, Boston's coming off, was it 120 wins? I don't know. It's a lot of wins. A lot of save opportunities. Get a little piece of that Boston bullpen. Next is Brad Hand at Cleveland. Brad Hand is pretty filthy. Came over from San Diego. Cleveland got rid of Andrew Miller. Got rid of Cody Allen. Hand is the closer there. I think Cleveland, because they didn't improve their lineup that much. They lost a couple pieces. They might not be as potent in offense this year. But Hand is there. He's solid. It just gives me a little segue. I like to just look at the standings and see the runs and then look at the lineup. And sometimes you just have to take a step back and look at some trends in the league and some narratives. You know, Philly is going to be a better team this year. They ponied up and they loaded up players. They're going to be better. Arizona gutted their team. They got rid of Paul Goldschmidt. Their best player is Peralta. They're going to lose a lot of games. That's a bad team. You know, Miami's a bad team, things you want to stay away from. And then you want to look at teams that got better because the lineup and some of that. I mean, the reason Mookie and JD are just that little bit above in terms of run production is they were in a stacked lineup. There were always more opportunities. Guys are driving them in. They couldn't be pitched around. So some of this has to do with narrative. Jumping back into the closers, still the same tier. Kenley Jansen, I think you got to stick with him. The ratios are there. I know he had the heart problem and the velocity was down, so I'm a little bit nervous, but he's the Dodgers closer. He just works a cutter with hard velo. He's basically using the Mariano Rivera pitch. Throws just the cutter, maybe a regular fastball, but the ratios are good. I think he has that job. Backing him up might be Kelly in that bullpen in case Jansen's heart does something on him. Shouldn't be too concerned there, but he's expensive because the name recognition. I mean, Jansen was elite last year. He was the number 2 guy. He was the Diaz from last season, but look how he's fallen. Roberto Ozuna, if you don't mind the off-the-field antics, he's over at Houston. He's young. He's pretty dirty. Tons of opportunities, and Houston is pitching heavy, so you're not looking at tons of blowouts. He should get tons of save opportunities. Giles is gone. Roberto Ozuna is going to be solid at Houston. Stick with that. I threw Craig Kimbrell in here because he throws hard, because he's sitting at 97. His best days we might have seen when he was younger, and he's slowed down a little bit, but he's a free agent. We don't know where he's going to go. He should probably go back to Boston because Boston shouldn't want to deal with either of those closers, but wherever Kimbrell goes, he's going to knock out whoever else is there, and he's going to become the closer there. He's solid. I like Alvarado of the Tampa Bay Rays. Alvarado's young. He looks, Colome's gone. So Alvarado should have the job to himself in Tampa Bay. The ratios are there. The hard stuff is there. And the reason I like the 97, 98, because guys just have to guess. And if he can locate it, they've got to swing and miss. The pressure's on. He can throw the hard stuff. Usually closers are just 2-pitch. They come in with the hard stuff and the wipeout slider. Alvarado has it. Tampa Bay slowly managing their team. They're going to be pitching heavy. There's not going to be a lot of run production, which is going to mean close games. A lot of save opportunities going Alvarado's way. Tampa Bay, even though they're not making it into the playoffs because of everybody else in the AL East, they're winning games. He should get some opportunity. And then we got Felipe Vasquez of Pittsburgh. Vasquez hit an injury snag in the middle of last season, but he's still throwing hard. He's still throwing, probably sitting 97, 98. He's got filthy stuff. Pitt, okay with wins. Again, same kind of situation. Not a lot of run production. Should be save opportunities. Keona Kella is backing him up. Kella's got hard stuff, but he lacks command. Kella would be the guy to fill in for Vasquez if anything happens. I jumped down a tier here, and Corey Knebel of Milwaukee. But Milwaukee, this situation's a little funky. So Knebel was the guy. Did a hamstring or something last season. Missed a big chunk of time when he came back. I believe he resumed the closing duties. But other guys can do it there, and they might be situational. So with Knebel, you got to worry about Josh Hader. Josh Hader has some of the filthiest stuff, innings, 2 innings in the whole league, but they've been liking to use him in high leverage situations. Kind of the new trend in the MLB is to keep your best reliever, to move him around 6, 7, 8, and then a secondary guy is the closer. They're using Josh Hader like that, but sometimes he gets saves. Sometimes he comes in the 8th, and he just closes it out in the 9th. But Hader's ratios and his high Ks, his K per 9, make him ownable all leagues. He might come cheap because he doesn't have the designated role, but he's a nice guy to stash on there and just run out for ratios. Jeffress is behind him. Jeffress got some saves last season. So the whole Milwaukee pen is going to provide some save opportunities. You probably start with Knebel. Got to watch out for the price there. Keep going down the same tier. Here's a bullpen that's not well settled. Is it going to be Jordan Hicks, who can touch 100 with the fastball, or is it going to be the veteran Andrew Miller, who's over there behind him? Different sites are saying different things you got to sort out. I'd like it to be Hicks. I'd like the youngster to come in and just throw fireballs and be the closer there for an improving St. Louis team, bringing in Goldschmidt, more opportunities. But it could be Andrew Miller. Andrew Miller got injured last season. Maybe his stuff has fallen apart. Hicks, to close, you got to kind of have the moxie. You got to have the guts to go in there and throw the stuff under pressure. So that's usually the big question when you have a young guy trying to assume the role. Hicks should be pretty good. Again, the velo is there, so I like him, especially because he's coming kind of cheap. I think Andrew Miller is muddying the water, but it should be Hicks's job. He's going to come in a complete beast this season. Vizcaino of Atlanta. Again, he's young. Minter's backing him up. Vizcaino held the role down last season until he got injured, and then they kind of filled in. They mixed and matched. He took the job back when he came back. Atlanta's going to be winning games. Lineup is stacked. Vizcaino is a nice pick there. Wade Davis of Colorado. Wade Davis is getting a little older. He's been an elite closer, an elite bullpen guy for a while. Throws pretty hard, but he's starting to fade a little bit, and you've got the park issue. So sometimes he might just get blown up. I believe it's Sungwon Oh, the final boss from Japan, is backing him up. Oh's getting older, couldn't hold the job down in Toronto. This is Davis's job as long as he's healthy. But again, a Colorado closer in the bad park. Davis has the ratios to work there. That's why Colorado has him. You got to decide the price you want to pay for that. Now we got another bullpen situation. We want a piece of the Chicago Cubs bullpen, but we don't know who it's going to be. Pedro Strop, the healthiest. Carl Edwards Jr., the best. And then you got Brandon Moreau, who had the job last season, but his arm doesn't really stay well for long periods of time. It could be Moreau if he comes back healthy. He's been traditionally the guy I believe they're paying to close there. But right now I think it's Pedro Strop. It should be Carl Edwards, but I don't know. They don't like the pressure. Maybe this is where they're using their best reliever in the high-pressure situation. Got to watch out who's there. Go with the piece of Strop. I don't think you can trust Moreau. I don't want to spend a lot on that because he's going to get hurt. He doesn't pitch for the full season. Same tier. Doolittle of Washington of the Nats. Doolittle's got the glasses. He's throwing hard last season. He came over from Oakland last year. That's his job. But the injuries and a little bit of age backing him up is Trevor Rosenthal, and you got Barraclough from Miami. So there's some guys that have closed before that have some stuff to take over if Doolittle doesn't get it done. But again, they got Scherzer. They brought in Corbin, Strasburg. They're a pitching strong team, and they need Doolittle to just close out those games, get them those W's. So I like Doolittle a lot. I think his price will be suppressed because of the injuries from last season. And the last group in this tier is Philadelphia. And I'm not sure. We got David Robertson. He's been bouncing all around the league. He's probably the closer right now. But you got to watch out for Seranthony Dominguez. Seranthony Dominguez in Philadelphia really has the stuff to close. He's a fireballer. He's got a nasty slider. But for some reason, they kept trying him there and testing him out. And he just couldn't hold the job down. They give him the job and just 3 runs, blown up, trouble. But when they were using him in late relief and high leverage situations, he can go multiple innings, high Ks. Those two are going to be fighting for that job all season. I like Seranthony's stuff. Could be Robertson out of the gates. Watch out for that. And then it drops down a tier. This is like your last resort group. You didn't want to pay. You're watching all the other closers go off the board with high name value. I got Cody Allen of the Los Angeles Angels. Allen moves over from Cleveland. He's closed before. Stuff is okay. Behind him is Buttery. Buttery, who was, I don't know if it's Buttery. He's closed before. He was good last season. Maybe these two fight for it. Cody Allen, he gets blown up from time to time. And Sosa was playing a lot of games. You could never use the same closer. Hopefully the Angels have a manager that settles down, picks one guy. It's probably Cody Allen. Another team I'd like to get better is Minnesota, the Twins. Minnesota brought in Parker from the Angels, but Parker wasn't good last season. Parker isn't consistent. He hasn't held down a closing job. And the guy who showed a little bit better stuff, just stuff-wise, was May. I believe it's Trevor May. Trevor May and Parker are going to be fighting for that job in Minnesota. I think there's going to be surprisingly more save opportunities for them as they've gotten better. They've added a lot of bats to the lineup. So look for May to maybe wrestle that job away from Parker. Got to keep your eye on that into the season. Seattle, they like to trade. They brought in new guys, but they haven't been able to make the jump. They can't get into the playoffs, but they're rebuilding. But then they grab veterans, and they don't know what they're doing. They got rid of Diaz. They said, the best closer in the league. They shipped him out because they wanted to get rid of Cano. They got back a piece. Hunter Strickland's there. He's the only guy I see getting the job. I think he's got it to himself. So if you want some Hunter Strickland, who was okay for San Fran last year, you can try some of that out. We got Giles at Toronto. Giles has the job to himself. If he can settle in, if he can rein it in, stop hitting himself. Check out that video of Giles punching himself coming off the field. Giles has the hard stuff. He's got the 97, 98, but he kind of lacks the moxie, and then he just loses his mind. So I don't know. I don't know if he can make the step forward. He was a popular pick last year, but he gets blown up from time to time. He's a little bit risky. Toronto doesn't look that good until they call up all their young players. Tough Parks, tough NL East, but you got Giles out there. He's worth the flyer late. I'm looking at Cincinnati next. Cincinnati has Raciel Iglesias. And then we got a little bit of bad news came out on Roto-World. They're talking about Iglesias may not be used to save all the time. The pitching coach, I believe, came over from Milwaukee, who was holding Josh Hader in high leverage situations. They might use Raciel in that position. He can go multiple innings. He can give him 2-3 high K innings. The guy behind him would be Jared Hughes, who was decent. These guys could be fighting over the few wins, the few saves that Cincinnati presents. I'm not sure about that. Iglesias is going to be popular. Everybody loves him. Everybody loves the little filthy stuff that he has. He switches arm angles. He's got multiple pitches. And then these are the last two guys. If everybody just blew by and you're in trouble, but you need a closer, I'll probably live here a little bit. At the very end of the drafts, I'll take Leclerc from Texas, who showed that when he got the job, he could hold it down. Texas just seems to run into saves. They're not going to be good. They're not going to get a lot of runs. Their pitching's not good. They end up in save situations. Leclerc has the ratios. He's got the K to B percentage to be filthy enough to keep this job to himself. Kayla's gone. Leclerc is a good pick late when you're waiting. And then go to San Diego. Again, the wins, the save opportunities are going to be a little depressed, but they got Yates. You got Yates at San Diego. I think it's Kirby Yates. He's got the stuff. San Diego's got a tradition of having really good closers and bringing up the next guy. Go back. They had Brad Hand. They had Trevor Hoffman before that. So they have good closers. They're going to be in close games. I like Yates. And then the last group here, this is full desperation. This is desperation. You got nothing. You want to spend nothing on closers, but you want to slip some guys in late. San Francisco, I'm not sure who they're going to use. Maybe they need to get Kimbrel. If they're going to get Bryce, they might as well get Kimbrel. Melanson, elbow fell apart. K's are low. Maybe Will Smith takes the job over. They'll be fighting for it. Arizona, that team is complete garbage now. They've turned into trash. They have no one in the lineup. They have a little bit of pitching. I guess Greinke. You got Archie Bradley in Arizona, and then you got Derek Holland. Archie Bradley should be the closer, but they don't want to pay him in arbitration, so they make him a holds middle reliever guy. Holland has closed before, but his career looks like it's over. Maybe he rekindles it. They're going to be fighting over save opportunities. Brad Boxberger is gone, so it's between those two. Bradley's the guy. Holland could give him trouble. I don't know what Arizona's going to do. And I like a little bit of Givens from Baltimore. Baltimore is going to win very little games, very few games this season. They're a very bad team, but Givens has the job. He's there all by himself. He showed he could do it at the end of last season. Givens is a nice piece. Shane Green has the job in Detroit. Detroit's not going to be good. Maybe Miggy comes back and gives them some run production, and you got Castellanos. Those are the only two bats in the lineups. Maybe they play up some of the Detroit pride. Shane Green can close it out. I got three more closers here. Another pen that's kind of uncertain, the Chicago White Sox. They got Calvin Herrera or Alex Colomé. So Colomé's closed before. I think they bought him to close. They brought him over from Tampa Bay. But Calvin Herrera throws hard at times. Then he got injured. Herrera's straight ball, fastball is kind of straight. So sometimes he can't really hold the job. He can get touched up from time to time. It's between one of those two guys. You also got Jace Fry, a little bit deeper in the pen. He can close a little bit. Probably Colomé there. Kansas City went out and got a piece of Brad Boxberger from Arizona. Kansas City, they have so much speed in the lineup. They've got like three of the fastest guys in the league. I don't know. I don't think they're going to win games. They don't have good pitching or hitting or anything. Not a lot of opportunities, but it should be Brad Boxberger. If he doesn't get it done, you got Willie Peralta kind of backing him up. In Miami, probably the worst team in the league. Drew Steckenrider, he's the only guy left, last man standing. Barraclaw went to Washington. So you got Drew Steckenrider, and that's it. Those are the closers. If you want to spread them out, if you want to make different tiers, I can give you the last second review. You got Diaz and Trinan, no doubters. Work with Jansen. I like Alvarado at Tampa Bay. I like Jordan Hicks. If you're desperate, some Leclerc, some Yates. Those are the dudes. Big shout out. Thanks, guys, for subscribing. I'm going to keep it coming. That was closers. I got to clean up catchers. We're going to get to a little bit of specific strategy. I'll probably lay out an entire team strategy. I'll jump into that this weekend. We'll get some feedback on how these auctions are going. And you know, we got enough subscribers here. We might want to make it a little community. I'm thinking of an idea of just floating the league out. Maybe we try to get a league. We try to get a full auction going right before the beginning of the season. Toiling with that idea. Appreciate the likes, helping people find me. I'll be back with more stuff later.